So let's get right into what you were talking about in transportation costs, because you're right. Some of the other competitors, if you kind of look at them in detail, you start to quickly see the price points going up, not only based on their initial quotes on what they offer, and then tack on that the cost to get everything all attached and up and running, depending on property location and jurisdiction, and then the transportation, right? If that company's in the Midwest or somewhere on the East Coast, it's going to be a hefty cost to bring it here into California. So, what's kind of your cost advantage there in transportation versus, say, some of these competitors?
Yeah, I would recommend anyone listening to check out the website, boxable.com, boxabl.com, and they'll quickly understand what we've done. The core innovation here that's most important for us is that our houses fold up to become a highway legal load. So that means 8.5 foot wide, and all of a sudden you've dramatically reduced your shipping cost. Whereas other guys ship a wide load, which is very expensive and cumbersome. And the reason it's expensive is because they'll be required to have follow cars, sometimes more than one, police escorts. There's restricted routes, there's restricted travel times. It's just a nightmare when you're trying to move something down the road that doesn't fit on the road.
Right.
So that was so important to us. And we think that factory built housing in general is a non-starter unless you can ship it efficiently. So pretty good situation we have. Of course, it still costs money to ship, but certainly ours is the lowest cost option and the best solution for shipping, where a 20-foot wide room becomes 8.5 foot wide. It ships on a highway legal load, and then it's fully finished when it arrives on site with just a couple hours of setup time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've heard, Warren Buffett recently invested in a company called MyTech, and they have a kind of slightly different take where they're trying to build and have you assemble on site. So kind of like IKEA, where they designed it in pieces so that it was meant to be kind of shipped in pieces like IKEA furniture, but then they would specially train the GC on site to then assemble. So, in theory, that could obviously, drive down the transportation costs, but I don't know necessarily it being able to scale. I'm sure you could still be able to do that for one-offs, but when you start to, approach developers and that want to do these, in mass orders or even attempt to go into multifamily, I'm not really sure how that could be effective. I'm not sure if you've heard of them at all, but there's a lot of others that are trying different things.
Yeah, I heard about MyTech, which I think is pretty early stage. Well, that portion of their company is. But I wasn't sure exactly what the solution was, if it was panelized or if it was a fully finished module. I think that anything that requires site work is not really gonna win in the long term. So often they'll have panelized solutions where they finish the panel in the factory, and then when they get out to site, they assemble those panels together.
I see.
But that doesn't really put you into a great place because there's just still a tremendous amount of work you have to do on site, where it's very, very expensive. So I think for in the future, to change housing, everything has to happen in the factory. The site work has to be minimal, and then we can really start to push the cost down.
I agree.